I don't know if you can see the changes that have come over me in these last few days. I've been afraid that I might drift away. So I've been
absolutely delighted. This is Scotland's biggest city and it has just voted decisively yes. I think that is hugely significant, and as a Glasgow MSP I understand we won every single constituency in Glasgow, so it underlines the point that I think...
Oh, and let me tell you that I love you, that I think about you all the time. Caledonia, you're calling me, and now I'm going home.
I felt it was a chance to make a difference to politics. I thought it was one of the biggest chances we'd ever have to make a difference. I voted yes because, to be honest, I felt the political parties in London weren't really representing us in the way that we should have been represented.
Politically, for one, since Scotland as an entity since 1955 have voted Labour. They've been fodder for the Labour Party, and we've had something like 40 years of Tory government. So clearly the electorate in Scotland didn't have a voice, and we weren't, no matter what we were doing, we weren't electing or having an input into the overall government of the country.
I voted yes because, I guess, mostly because of a disillusionment with sort of Westminster main party politics. And just over the few years, I've just felt that it's sort of more of a self-serving nature. And I was hoping with a change, sort of as drastic as independence, that it would stir up a change in politics.
I think as well economically, because I think Scotland's a resource-rich country. I know everybody talks about the oil resources, but I think we also have a lot more other resources that would make Scotland, I believe, able to run independently and be financially adept at running its own affairs.
These streets have too many names for me. I'm used to Glenfield Road and spending my time down in Orkney. I'll get used to this eventually, I know.
Why did I decide to vote yes? Well, because I'm a Glaswegian and I'm a Scot, and but I have English friends and family. I just thought, yeah, we need to try this. This will work.
I just think it'd be great for us to make our own decisions. I think Scotland would work really well as an independent country. Because I think Scotland would make a very good independent country. They can do it themselves. They don't need the backup from England and the rest of the UK. They can do it on their own.
What was your immediate reaction after the no vote?
I was hugely sad. I wouldn't say suicidal, but I was getting there. A lot of my friends overreacted, but I'm like, yeah, well, that's people have voted, and that's fair enough.
Devastated. I woke up to the sound of two guys singing Flower of Scotland outside my window and got really excited, and then had no text messages or anything and realised that there's no chance it could have been a yes if no one had got in touch. And really sad. Glasgow was horrible. It was a really, really sad down place that day.
Very sad. I stayed up all night, watched the full thing. When I got that wee wave in the middle where we kind of closed the gap a good bit, I thought there was a bit of hope, but after that it was really sad, and it was horrible to wake up the next day and know that your vote was just, it almost didn't count for anything.
Immediately after the referendum I was absolutely gutted. It's just, I'd sat up all night watching just as the different things came in, and all I could think of was like never visiting Clackmannanshire. Now that is off my list, they're dead to me, but I was gutted. Just in the lead up, like in the night before with the big parties in George Square, there was just such a build up and excitement around it that it felt like it couldn't possibly have been a no vote.
I was really very gutted. I stayed up all night to watch it. Me and my flatmates all came together and watched it, and when the no vote did come in, I was extremely disappointed. I thought this was one of the huge opportunities for change that I'm not going to get again in, well, certainly my lifetime. I don't believe.
When the no vote came in directly after the referendum, I felt really devastated. But I think most people who were who had seen such a well-run campaign and such a positive yes campaign, don't think devastated is too strong a term initially after it. We stayed up, watched it all, and saw the results coming in, so you could see it coming as it was there. But I still had that slight belief up until the point where the final one came in, and it was a no vote. So yeah, I was pretty disappointed, to be honest. I feel like we've missed a big opportunity.
Well, we've been here almost 3 years. My husband and I is a wee family business. We run it ourselves and we're called Best Bar. Just playing about with the name and Best Bar and Yes Bar and putting photos. And we just sort of looked at each other and thought, let's just go the whole way. Let's just do it. Let's just put our money where our mouth is and just go Yes Bar. So we phoned the guy who does all our printing, our signs and everything. And we're a wee bit nervous because we wanted them for like overnight. So we're like, Stevie, are you aye or a no? And of course, wonderfully, it was an aye. So he worked overnight and we just totally rebranded the place overnight. And then obviously we lost and everyone was so heartbroken and we thought this might be somewhere that people didn't want to come. But the night after the end of the referendum was one of the busiest nights we've ever had and people were begging us not to change the name. What we're trying to do is keep the spirit alive, keep the spirit of the 45 alive and rising, 45 and rising I should say, you know, because we all want us to grow and we know that people already regret the vows became this great big lie, so people are regretful. So we've got a lot of people that were regretful no voters coming in. But what we're doing is anyone that's a member of any of the Yes Alliance parties gets 45% of the food when they produce the memberships. That's Greens, Scottish Socialists, or the SNP, obviously. And we've got a 45 ale, our own IPA that we're getting brewed for us in Scotland, an independent wee brewery in Ullapool called Little Lock Room, and it's fantastic. That's going down really well. We're getting our own Yes Lager soon. That'll be in the next week or so. But more than that, we've got a basement downstairs. It's normally our comedy club, but it's closed during the day, obviously. So what we're doing is we're making that space available to any Yes group that wants it. So be that we're the 45% or the Scotland's People or Lawyers for Yes or Scottish Socialist Group, anybody at all that's wanting to have a bit of a meeting. And what we're doing is throwing in tea, coffee, juice, anything at all we can to keep that spirit alive and people to feel that they've got a hub somewhere to go and talk. So we decided we're going to stay Yes Bar until Scotland gets independence.
Welcome to the second Indie Ref Weekly Review, bringing you a roundup of news you maybe missed every weekend to the Scottish independence referendum in September. In the referendum, I felt there were stories that weren't being covered properly, basically in more of the mainstream press. I mean, throughout the referendum we basically had a situation that the majority of the papers were either leaning towards no, quite heavily in favour of no, or remaining barely neutral. So there was definitely a lack of voices on the Yes campaign's side. So I just wanted to, mostly out of frustration, find a way to tell some of these stories that I felt weren't being told. I made my first video, I put it out there. I honestly didn't expect anything even close to the response that it got. But it kind of took off and it got a really positive reception, and so I thought, well, I guess I'll keep going, which I'd never expected to happen. But in terms of actually campaigning, I was campaigning with the Scottish Green Party, I was campaigning with National Collective. There was so many groups and so many diverse groups of people involved that it was so easy to just go out with whoever was doing something on a particular day or a particular weekend. And particularly by the time we got to the end, you didn't need to know that something was happening. In the final weeks over the last couple of weekends, all you need to do is just go to the centre of Glasgow. You will find someone. You will find the group that you can just start campaigning with. I'd like to think my videos had a bit of an impact. I've received messages from people who kind of said that my videos helped them towards a yes vote. Obviously, after the no vote, I was quite disappointed, as you'd expect. I'd really kind of put a lot of myself into the final few months, but especially the last few weeks of the campaign, it was very tiring. So I was really just incredibly disappointed, quite upset that it went the way that it went, but I understood that that's what happened and we'd kind of need to move on relatively quickly. Actually, I'm very hopeful for the future of Scotland, not necessarily just for independence. I mean, we've kind of moved past the referendum just now. The next bid for independence is a while away. We really need to be focusing now on everything that we were talking about during the referendum. So we're in a situation just now where 1 in 4 kids in school have joined the political party. We've seen this massive surge in membership in the Green Party, in the SNP and the Scottish Socialist Party. The left is kind of burgeoning again in Scotland, and I think we have a very awakened population in terms of what's happening, and I think that can only be a good thing as we go forward, because we're seeing people who are engaged, they want to know more and they want to get active, and that can only lead to good things for the future of this country.
The sadness and the feeling that we were beaten has gone, and I think I'm actually just as positive, if not more positive now, to see that that people are still sort of the same mind and are still willing to carry on with the fight and to fight for what they believe in.
Well, I am proud, yeah. I'm happy I voted yes. I don't think I'll ever regret it, to be honest. I will think that it's the best opportunity we've had to make an actual difference in politics.
With groups like We Are the 45, I would hope that they continue to put pressure on and make sure the Westminster government keeps their promises that were made during the referendum, and that we don't just get sort of half-baked ideas thrown at us.
45%, I'm glad that I have been part of that. If people ask me in the future, you know, how did you vote in the referendum, I always be very proud to say, I did vote yes that we should be an independent country.